Typically I'd ask for a recap, but because it's been 27 days, 28 days since we played last, and this campaign does not lack things to do, I think I will do the recap. So in Valaki, you guys rescued the kids and delivered them to the orphanage. You've had relatively good interactions with Claudia there. You went and exorcised a demon out of Felix, and then you found out that the other kid, I forget his name, that works at the church, was there as well, probably trying to hide from you guys. But when he was feeling better and not being attacked by said demon, he kind of scurried off back to the church. He was used by a mysterious person that visited the coffin maker, Henrik, at night weeks back to steal some bones from the church that were possibly actually protecting the town, or at least the church, from Strahd. So you did some work and got those bones back. You were nervous about Henrik's well-being, so he stayed with you guys for the course of a couple days, or a day, I think, at least, going so far to spend the night with him. However, you're in a situation now where you want to visit the Visanti camp, and he makes it a point to stay back and stay safe, and kind of points out like it'll be sort of suspect getting him past the guards, possibly. So he is staying back in his home. The Blue Water Inn has been good to you guys. They provided you a shelter. You did provide them with wine. Their relations there with the winemaker, the Mardukov family, has been helpful as far as you can tell. Since kind of coming into town, maybe the only friendly faces except for Prim, the smithy in town, who's kind of helped you guys out a couple times as well to subvert some followers from Fiona Watcher, and also provide weapons and upgrades and things like that. Speaking of Watcher, she has basically offered you to side with her in a way, against the tyranny that is the Burrowmaster, and his evil ways and evil lineage. That is, she's definitely not without some questionable endeavors, as she has a creature that is invisible around her neck, and seems to have some kind of following behind her, as it seems like she's maybe going to make a bid to take over the town, or at least get rid of the Burrowmaster. She has a daughter that you guys have spoken to, that she claims Victor, the Burrowmaster's son, has tormented her and basically put her in sort of a dumbfounded stupor, or some type of brain damage or something, possibly. Toto, you tried to help her to no avail. And then there's the Krishkin brothers, who you guys spoke with last session. They said that they could be basically hired for about 4 gold a day as their typical kind of rate of income. You guys bought them some drinks and kind of asked some questions about the lake and the surrounding area. I believe, Sterling, you were kind of prodding a bit to see if maybe they knew of a Visanti camp, or any kind of camp around the lake that might lead to your Madam Ava reading, which was...
Good question. So you said Henrik, that we sent him back to his house. I thought we hired the brothers to watch him.
That's what you did. Thank you. I could not remember what you guys did. So I think, did you leave? Oh, you left Henrik in your guys' room, and the brothers are going to see if he leaves. Thank you. I knew
they're going to watch over
in
case anyone looking for
Yes. Yes, that is correct. So Henrik is not without eyes on him, and he knows that as well. Thank you for that very much. And then the Burrowmaster's point of view is he believes that his festivals keep Strahd away. He possibly believes that wholeheartedly, possibly doesn't. He has some rumors that he tortures people, and obviously his antics. There are plenty of citizens you've seen in stocks, and the guards in town are kind of seen as a totalitarian sort of group um, of like a police state in a way. The rules you guys sort of signed upon entering give pretty strict rules as to what you can do in town, when you can do it, things like that. But some people might agree with him in the sense that they are presumably safe from Strahd for some reason, and he believes that it's his festivals and it's his rule of law that keeps the town safe. So, am I missing anything somebody wants to add or any questions? I think that's the generic Valaki update. I think you guys ended with you made the little trip out of town to the Valaki camp. Is that correct?
I think so, or we were going to go there.
We were
The
on
Visanti
our
camp,
way.
yeah.
That's where we ended the session. So we haven't reached it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we saw
So-
it, but I could be crazy.
Yeah. I just tried to activate it, and
Loading.
is that what it says? I'm on Wi-Fi now. It may be
There
a
it
little
goes.
rough. Wow, that was a long time. Do you need a raven on this map, or you don't need a raven on every map? I forget.
Yeah.
You don't need an actual token.
I
You
think
do.
I do now because of the thing.
Okay.
I don't know why. I can't see anything.
You should have vision. I see you as having vision.
I can see.
Toto
Oh,
can
view
certainly
over.
see.
Oh, the raven can't see.
There we go. I can see now.
You're
Cool.
good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Shatner and I are trying something fancy to make it easier for me to not make shit recordings.
Okay, so you guys, any additional comments, questions, concerns about? Oh, also, the Burrowmaster mentioned the town drunk Bluto had been missing, and he was concerned. He didn't really mention this. I believe it was Danica that mentioned the real reason that Vargas is looking for Bluto is that last time he kind of made a fool of himself at the festival, and it seems like if he's missing now, Vargas, the Burmaster, wants to kind of get a control on him, so he doesn't get too drunk again and ruin the next festival. But he's not been seen. He typically hangs out at the Blue Water Inn or at the other places around town, and so it's been. I think Danica said it had been a day or so since she had seen him, which was relatively rare. And the Brewmaster had mentioned if you could find him to bring him to him so that he could be put there for safekeeping, if you will. So, any other plots in Valaki that I've missed? I think that was most of them. There are a lot when you say them out loud. Jesus Christ.
There's the shoemaker, but yeah. I don't know if you said that.
The shoe. Oh yeah, yes.
Udo.
I forget what his Udo is missing, and what's her name? Let me see.
I think it's fine unless we decide to go harass the Baron to find Udo again.
No, it was
His mother.
Arena had also mentioned that she wanted to take a trip at some point to the Abbey, in Kreesk, to have like a safer living there, basically, and mentioned that she was in no hurry, but if you were going to go there, she would like to travel with you, but she wasn't expecting anything necessarily. So, cool. So you guys find yourself, I believe it's still daytime. me get back to my page. Man, this chapter is huge. The woods part to reveal an expansive clearing, a small grass-covered hill with low houses built into its sides. Fog obscures the details, but you can see that these buildings feature elegantly carved woodwork and have decorated lanterns hanging from their sculpted eaves. Atop the hill, above the fog, is a ring of barrel-topped wagons that surround a large tent with a column of smoke pouring out of it through a hole in the top. The tent is brightly lit from within. Even from this distance, you can smell the odor of wine and horses that emanate from the central area. This place is not crowded. You don't see many people at all. Why is there an observer way over here? It's weird. And this first home here, there is what looks to be an elf outside, possibly a guard, just kind of posted up. He has presumably seen you. Unless you guys don't want to be seen, I can have you guys approach from further back if you want, so it's up to you.
I'd probably just go right up to him. We're not trying to sneak in, right?
No.
I thought we were going to be friendly. Or at least investigate.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
have
try
no
something.
qualms.
Ignore chat. Interesting.
You want to try something. Yay, okay. That's fine.
Notice my some of my stats, some of my spells, all and features and stuff change when I imported because I think there's a big update with D&D Beyond.
Don't blame me. Just mooching off my friend. If you're using my version of it.
Oh no, I'm using my stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's nice. Like there's just more stuff here now.
Shit, do I have to scrape it again? Anyway, not relevant. Sorry.
Okay, so we can move. You guys just want to go down towards that person down there,
Sure.
and it's
Is
We
this
actually have-
is this the Visanti camp that we're at?
Yes. So as you guys approach, this kind of cloaked elf here, just sort of standing under the outcrop of the home above, kind of hiding a bit from the rain, just kind of looking in your general direction. He is armed with a spear, but he's just kind of leaning on it, just kind of looking out in the distance. He seems to notice you, but has not really done anything specific at this point.
we continue forward.
Okay. Nothing changes. We'll say that the elf is sort of perked up a bit and just sort of called out, like, state your business.
I'll nudge Toto, our charismatic one.
Sorry, remind me of who?
Right here, this elf
I
here
don't know.
with the spear.
I'm sorry. My brain is farting. What is the exact reason we were down here? We're coming after someone's
It had
quest,
not
right?
been visited, and you were, I think, possibly just looking to shop or see if there were items here.
I thought somebody had a reason to come here.
There was some kind of item that they had that I was supposed to check out. I don't know what it was about. Or what.
I think that you were also going to ask them.
Yeah,
So-
for another.
You're looking for another Visanti camp. So, Sterling, your reading was in flames. I see flames in your past, flames that a large lake's waters wash away. Near the water is a camp of my people. They may know more of your past, but relief is not a promise made in this land.
Okay. I'll call out to the guard. Hi, we have been staying up and down in Valaki, and we had met Madam Ava some days ago, and wanted to come visit your camp after the hospitality we got the last time we visited another group of your peoples. That's not the right word, but whatever.
The elf looks up and goes, "Well, I doubt your business is with me. You're probably here for the Visanti, so they're just up the hill. I don't have much to say to outsiders." What the
Are
fuck?
you not with the camp, or did they hire you, or? I'm just curious.
Um, outsiders. Well, at least you're not from the godforsaken town to the north. Yeah, outsiders is offensive. We're the oldest people living in this town or this land you found yourself on. I'm guessing that you don't want to be here. My people do want to be here, but this is just about what's left of us. So we live out on the outskirts of Valaki because we're not accepted there. And while the Visanti and I and us have a reasonable relationship, it's infinitely better than that. Um, with the townspeople of Valaki. So we built our homes here well before that town was anywhere near that size or even existed, and we still find ourselves here today. Who are we to move just because their town got too big, you could say? So if you're here to trade or have any questions, if you must speak with one of my kind, the house to the very north, and he points to this house here. How do I do the intense click? There it is. He points to this house here. He says if you must speak with an elf about some or anything, he's much more talkative than I am.
Are
And
we
kind of points down.
supposed to be able to see the whole map?
Probably.
I
Let me
think
see.
you have Fog of War on. It's weird because I should have 300 feet of dark vision, and that's not hitting either.
I see your dark vision.
I can only see. Let me get a ruler out. I'll show you how far I can see.
I see like it's
I
really
can
weird on that.
see. I can see 50 feet. I can see 50 or 60 feet. Like the line I'm
That's it.
drawing is all I can see on the map.
That's annoying.
And then there's like weird light sources that are partially revealed.
Oh, what the fuck is going on?
But like, here, let me. I'll
Maybe I
show
had it
you
in
what I
night
see.
time. Is it getting better?
Here. I'm sending you what I can see right now.
Yeah, Siri did it. I don't know why it's not.
Hey,
There we go.
Okay.
that did it.
Well, I wouldn't want you to see inside that building, but fuck it. Or the tent. I wanted restrictions, but I didn't want. Why is that? Oh, whatever. It's not that big a deal. Okay, so this person is somewhat standoffish and not very talkative, it seems, but does point you either up the hill or to the home to the south if you want to speak to another of his kind, he says.
Yeah,
Just
so we can
be-
just ask for directions if there's any shops or anything. Say like the center area.
Yeah,
So, like, the
yeah.
Visanti
I
are the
wouldn't.
camp in the middle, and all the other houses are elf houses?
Yes.
Okay.
He kind of nods his head. He's like, this is, as far as I know, one of the few permanent Visanti locations in this land. So they come and go often, and as you can tell, the road here is rather weathered. But it's I guess it's a main trade hub for the Visanti that come and go on these lands. This specific group has a lot of history in the area, and so they've decided to, I guess, settle down. Our history is, like I said, much older than that, but that's another story.
So now that I can see the map, I want to ask him politely. This mound looks constructed. Is it important or significant in any way to your people? Besides being where you
can
live?
tell that the homes are built into the side of the hill, so the front part is right at perfect ground level, and then as the home goes back towards like this section here, it's maybe like a third or more submerged. He just kind of like gives a shrug. It's like, you know, I mean, this was a place we found. It seemed like a nice place with I guess a central location, defensible in some ways, but I'm not sure. I wasn't the one that picked it back in the day, but it served us well here. In terms of any kind of religious or social significance, no, this was a place that we more fled to than worshipped, if that's what you're getting at.
I was just curious. It looks like other mounds I've seen, but thank you.
Sure.
I guess we continue along the road.
Ah. Dragging on this map is kind of wild.
The what?
Dragging on this map is fun.
Right here? Like,
What did you say, Sterling?
Are these?
Those are elevation markers.
Oh, okay.
So it's 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. So it's just signifying uphill.
I think I don't get tired.
Right. As you guys get closer and closer, the smell and sound of some kind of commotion inside is confirmed. It sounds like someone is possibly being yelled at or I don't know, like interrogated. There's definitely sounds of like drinking and eating going on, but there's a kind of a central overtone of someone being maybe reprimanded. It sounds like from inside. The only way to see in is this little hole here. I know you guys can see in currently, but just don't look there. So there's plenty of horses here. They look to be in very good condition and good shape. You also have a multitude of wagons. These are ornately made. You've seen them before. They seem like they've probably been here for a little while, except for maybe the ones near this main entrance, if you will, to the top of this hill. The other ones you can kind of see like their wheels are maybe even a couple inches kind of into the mud. They seem to be probably permanent residents for some. The horses, like I said, there's a lot of them, and they seem to be very well maintained and taken care of. Most of them are eating and take a little notice to you.
We don't see any Visanti milling about outside.
Now, it's raining pretty good at this point. It also is presumably around lunchtime, I believe, is the correct time. So there's definitely eating going on, but you've always seen Visanti eating. So, yeah.
Should we, to the rest of the group, should we make ourselves known as we approach, or do we want to get in there without them knowing until we're right at the tent?
Doesn't matter to me. Yeah,
Probably
figure
better to be
probably.
open with these folks.
Yeah.
No, we're not hiding anything.
But call out and let them know we're coming.
Okay. What do you say?
That was a question to the group, not to you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Shatner, fucking idiot.
Fucking idiot.
So as we get to the outer ring of the wagons, I'll just call out, "Hello!" Just trying to really loudly make us known.
Yeah, it's raining, but it's doable for sure. There's a kind of a sudden stop or lull in the consistent chatter and that kind of yelling, if you will, and you kind of hear some grumblings, like visitor, someone's here, someone's outside, and kind of see there's some dancing light inside a little bit as it's still rather gloomy, and it's also always gloomy. There's never full sun, and you kind of see some movement inside, and there's a Visanti that kind of pokes his head out, looks over, and he goes, visitors, what's your business?
We were in the area. Wanted to come say hello and find out if you had anything to trade or any information about the area.
He kind of looks a little, not nervous, but it's a bit awkward, maybe timing wise for him. He kind of looks inside and he goes, Argo, did you hear that? And you just hear a deeper voice kind of grunt, and then maybe a weaker, maybe almost maybe a sniffling voice, possibly the one that was getting reprimanded, kind of say something that's hard to discern. But he's like, well, as long as you're not here to pillage, I know there's a bunch of us. Come on in. You're welcome. Just don't mind the horses and come on this side. Good old Visanti welcoming. We've got plenty of food and some wine as well in here. Come on in. And he kind of disappears back around the tent. You guys look around to see a very permanent looking large tent. It can hold quite a few people. It's got multiple fires inside of it going. It's nice and warm. It's nice and welcoming. There's some pretty lavish furnishings and some blankets, and just it looks like a home more than a tent. All things considered, and inside there's a bunch of Visanti, none of them that you recognize, and then there's sort of a larger figure or two sort of in the center that come up to greet you. The first one, see, they're all kind of drinking and eating at this point. This one here kind of approaches and goes, outsiders, you've picked a odd time. Sorry if you heard anything out there, but please be welcomed in our tent, our camp. I'm assuming you've heard that we were here and have some sort of business, so please state it, as we are sort of in a time of crisis now, if you will. He's standing on a fire.
What kind of crisis?
It's a personal matter, one which I may not have a problem discussing, assuming I know who you are and what you're here for. You'll notice that there's quite a few wagons and horses here, and not too many of us in here now. There's about half of our camp is out on a mission, if you will. So please, what is your business? How have you come to trade, or do you have something to trade? Or are you here from Valaki, in which case I would like to know why.
Well,
certainly looking to spend our coin. We heard that you all are purveyors of some rare goods at times, and we'd be interested to see what you may have.
Yes, well, you've heard correctly. And where are you from? It seems like maybe you're dodging the question. I don't mean to assume, but where have you traveled from today?
We've traveled from Valaki, but we're actually outsiders to this land. We found ourselves mysteriously here if that makes sense.
From the back of the tent, you see this other sort of larger person as well, kind of grunt out. It's like, oh, heard that one before, haven't we, brother? And the initial gentleman that approached you, I don't think he ever introduced himself. His name is Argel, and he confirms, like, well, yes, we've heard that before. I'm definitely sorry to hear it. It seems like all of you are missing from home, and ironically, I don't always leave things to fate, but he's kind of sizing all of you up. I assume that most of your weapons and kind of combat capabilities are relatively known for those that have them, right? Like Vimrak, you're not hiding your axe by any means, or
Right.
Sterling, a bow can be seen and stuff like that, right?
Correct.
He kind of says, well, the gods, whichever you might follow, and he kind of notices you, Toto, and kind of gives you like a nod. He goes, my daughter, Arabelle, is missing. She is 7 years old, and she is the love of my life, and I'm greatly concerned as to her whereabouts. I searched the last night on the first shift to try and find her, but after 12 hours had found nothing. Came back and just recently sent out the other half of my clan here, if you will, to search for her. The brother who he was speaking to earlier stands up at this point. He goes, I don't know if I was introduced or not. I'm just trying to rest up here. My name is Lavash. And he kind of takes over as Argel gets maybe a bit emotional or maybe a bit angry. Lavash kind of steps in and goes, it's a touchy subject. She's sort of the kid of the whole group here, if you will. And, we never know what evil plans or what evil things may be or might have happened to her with a talent such as Valaki so close. So we're just in a tough spot right now. It seems like you guys are the adventuring type. If we could ask you to possibly help find my brother or my niece here, we would be greatly indebted to you. We do have quite a few unique items, if you will, and be willing to part with those without any issue if you could bring back one of our kin.
Do you have any information on where she might be?
To be honest, we searched mostly to the south and to the west, thinking that she maybe had hurt herself in the woods that she typically.
You cut out.
I think his mic died.
Saying that because she's my daughter, she really is special. So the
Yeah.
second.
Chat.
Yeah,
We only
Cut
heard
out for a while.
you cut out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
His connection just dropped and reestablished too.
Weird. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
He basically explains that they had searched the south and the west so far and had kind of scouted the city, but because they're not well accepted in the city, they hadn't searched in there. But he doesn't see any reason as to why she would be there. He had not heard anything or seen anything, but he did have one of his kin approach the guards at the western gate of Valaki, and one of them kind of like snuffed and said like, oh, one of yours is missing, so is one of ours. The drunk Bluto's missing, so if you see him, let us know and I'll look out for your missing girl, in kind of a sassy sort of piece of shit way. So at this point, we don't know. We haven't searched north of Valaki, but that's where he sent some of his kin, but also to the east as well, as they'd not searched there. So he says she never goes to the north, and we try and keep it that way. But he's not sure. But if there's any tie-in with this missing Bluto type, Argol confirms that he will kill a person if he's done anything to hurt his girl. So, and he's like, if coin is what you need as well, please understand that we have plenty, and having a friend in a place like this is something that can be quite valuable. So he kind of is looking with intent of like, kind of like, what do you say to this?
Guess we can help out. You see her?
You said she usually heads out into the woods. You were worried that she'd do that normally and potentially.
I mean,
get
she's
injured
a
there?
little girl. She plays. So we initially went to the south, but found no sign of her. So if I were to send you guys in a direction, I would say check the lake and check the north side of Valaki, as that's the only place we've not been at this point. I've sent, like I said, scouts out to look, but it's a lot of area, as you well know. He goes, if you need better transportation, you can feel free to take horses. Just bring them back if you can. But I cannot explain to you how much my daughter means to me. And you can tell, like, he's emotional, he's angry, it's presumed that he was kind of yelling at somebody when you guys approached about this matter, and you can just see like these dark, horribly like thick tired eyes he's got currently, as it seems like he probably hasn't slept in a multitude of hours at this point. So
Just real quick, chat. What are the race of the Visanti? Like, do they look like humans?
yeah, they're humanoid for sure. They have like a specific like skin tone, and kind of have like a certain look to them in general, but they're definitely like, they're very close to humans. They're not like any kind of would be maybe something close to like I don't know, like somebody from like India or something. Like they're definitely, they just have you can tell they're Visanti because their lineage is so, I guess, pure back to a certain period of time. They don't seem to like marry or mate outside of their own, and there's a lot of them. But it's stayed pretty true throughout the 400 years or so since Strahd first came to the land. So, and they're also like a much different class system. Remember, this is the group that is hated and despised because they presumably can travel between into the fog without any detriment. And while the camps you've come into contact with have been friendly, the rumors of them are that they are, Strahd worshippers and generally like lesser in society. And most of that could stem from just the fact that they can leave this place but choose to be here, which is just kind of a slap in the face to anyone here in a way. So
Real quick, is there a way I can have access to grabbing items from the Curse of Strahd item list?
in
I seem
terms
to have
of
everything.
what do you mean?
Gulfia's staff, I realized, wasn't in my inventory anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to just grab it, but it doesn't exist in any of the item compendiums we have.
The book didn't get scrubbed. Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't have it in
Are you
the
using
current
my
database.
scrubs?
If you use the DDB, that should be the most full, right?
Yeah, if I click on the... If I click on them, it's like the DDB items where the DDB items dump. Like the DDB items dump has stuff, but not Golthia's stuff. And a lot of stuff in there is missing icons as well. The
Yeah,
DDB
so
items has nothing.
I don't have the Curse of Strahd.
Look on here. Yeah. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
Sorry.
Current.
So Shat's got my dump of DDB, which is huge, but not everything anymore.
Not everything.
Okay, I'll just modify wooden staff then.
Is that for the staff that you found for the blights?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you got that picture I sent, right?
Yeah, I found a picture of it too.
Okay.
But I can't do anything with the picture because I can't upload stuff for you.
Okay. I'm not sure. I can tinker and see if I can give you permissions for next time. But I mean, I guess once that's done, it's done either way.
So I want to. So it's Argyle, and who's the other guy?
Lavash.
Lavash.
And then the daughter is
Arabelle. So I want to ask Argyle if does Arabelle have any friends or any people she usually played with, or anybody from the city by any chance?
She's a gifted young girl. She's 7, but she acts like she's 14 or even older. She's very mature, if you will. She knows everyone in town, and you can see, like, as he's describing her, like, some of the Visanti in this tent kind of like raise a glass, and like mutter some stuff like keep her safe, things like that. Like, seems to be very well loved. But to get around to your question, she just kind of hangs out with the group here. Like, just imagine whoever you see here, there's a group sleeping and there's also a group out. So, assume that like every wagon sleeps like a family of like 4 to 6, basically. So you can imagine how many people total, live in this camp overall. The wagons are not necessarily like storage wagons. They're like travel, kind of like almost like motorhomes, if you will. So there's plenty of people in this camp overall, and there's some young ones as well, but not a ton of them. So overall, he says like she goes on adventures and plays with the kids here, but I've talked with all of them, and none of them know anything. And I trust their responses, as I made my point very clear. So at this point, I fear that evil Baron has something to do with this. God knows what he might be plotting, or this so-called drunk Bluto who's missing from the town, or she's found herself in some trouble with the wilderness. But she's a quick one, and I've taught her well. So it must be something out of the ordinary, and that's why I think that heading north towards the lake or the north side of Valaki is probably the best bet.
Oops. Okay. So I want to just kind of insight, I don't doubt him. I'm just trying to figure out like if there's any subtext or anything else to what he's saying.
He seems to just be a very worried father.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably drop out real quick. I'm just going to the kitchen real fast. I'm listening. Have you guys talked since I left? I'm back. I think I cut out there a little bit. Okay, I'm back.
So there's... Okay. Do we want to go try and track her? Or see if we can track her?
Yeah, we could try. He also said something about the Bluto guy, which we were looking for anyway.
Maybe if we find him, we find her.
Possible.
He looks at you, Sterling, and he's like, you have the ranger type? You ever track people before?
I've done a bit.
He kind of nods in like approval, like there's definitely like a respect thing there, as you can kind of tell like you're more like attuned with the woods, if you will. a place that they obviously have an intimate relationship with, and so he kind of scurries out to a wagon. Let's say he goes to this one here, and he brings back like one of her shoes. He's like, "There's a lot of prints around here. My people aren't the best, as we typically just hunt. We don't really travel as much. This group, at least. But if you're an adequate tracker, you can match a footprint to this shoe. If that helps, you're more than welcome to take it."
Certainly, that would certainly help. Thank you. I'll grab it from him.
Okay. He's like, "Do you guys need food or any kind of, I guess, small wares I can interest you in? If not, like I said, I'd be much appreciative if you found my daughter. I have a wagon full of things we've found over the years and little bits I've held on to, and I have no problem parting with one of those items. Or if you need to buy some of my nicer stock, would definitely be open after my daughter's safe."
You guys want to check it out, or do you just want to come back after we try to find the daughter?
Yeah, I think, and I'll say this so that he can hear. I said probably the sooner we get looking for her, the better.
Yeah, and you get like a little cheer from the tent as well, as there's like a little kind of spike in morale a bit, knowing that this like additional 4 people with some skills for sure is kind of adding to the search. So he goes, "Please take your pick of the horses you'd like, and make quick time. If you run into any Visanti, they're most likely mine. Just let them know what you're up to, and maybe they can help you search if they found anything. But please, good luck to you, and God's help your search."
So I have a quick question, just out of character here before we go.
Uh-huh.
We're in a forest, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I have the natural explorer forest. It says while tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number, their states, and how long ago they passed through the area. So do I have to find some like a footprint or something to be like, how does this work?
Yeah, so I think if you like get far enough out of town, and I'll have you roll and see if you can maybe just match her footprint. And then once you've found it, like, you're pretty much going to be able to follow it at that point, just with your skills, outside of any like extreme outside circumstances. So once you're confident, or once you believe that what you're following is her, you can pretty much tell how old those tracks are, maybe even like how she was moving. Was she running, walking, but being drug or something like that? So
okay.
Things like that. Yeah.
Right, we're supposed to be headed to the north.
It was the east or north?
We said the Bluto guy went
to the north. My wife just texted me and said she heard something in the backyard, so I will either be back or not. So
okay.
Well, Grim, you may have to take over as GM. We'll see if he comes back.
I mean, I could improv some bullshit, but I don't know if that'll work. Oh. I haven't.
Okay, so is anyone on the game map?
I was looking at it before, because I think it's like,
so these are the woods that we're searching right here.
I thought it was east.
I said to the north.
The north,
yeah,
and
so we can probably go that direction first.
They've searched south and west.
Well, this is a lake, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's why it's like there's not much to search up there, so might as well just finish that off quick.
Because if she got whisked away into the lake, that's a bigger set of problems, right? Like
So this is the west then that they searched.
they searched
So
west
they
and
need to
south,
do-
right? So they like scouted the outskirts of the city, scouted the woods to the west. It sounds like we got to look at the
We
east. And
came from the east.
we came
So,
from the south.
originally. Did we?
Okay, so
We
like
came from the
Valaki,
east.
so like where it says
No, we
Valaki,
came from the east. See the blue
That's
line?
not-
those are just places.
yeah,
we've
but I'm
walked.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, today we came from Valaki, so we've been to the north. That's what I don't understand. We're going to the north. The north is Valaki, and then it's the
No.
west.
No. There is
no.
a section north of Valaki. See this area right here? The size of the town going north. Almost the size of the town.
Okay.
Who
Okay.
is that?
There's a
My
whole beach and
Valaki?
everything.
Who wrote that Valaki?
I don't know.
Because that Valaki should actually be where the party token is. So
Yeah,
like,
So where is the Visanti camp in relation to It's just right on the edge of it, right,
Right
here?
where
it's
we
north.
are, basically.
Right
No,
over
I
there.
thought it's to the south.
Yeah,
I think it's to the
I thought it
south.
was to the southwest. Yeah,
Yeah.
Town of Valaki.
Yeah,
So-
it's southwest. If you look at go back to
That's-
town of Valaki, you can see the bottom left.
Okay.
All right,
So
well,
might as
we
well
don't
just
need
head
wait.
north and then head east after.
Yeah,
I have-
So are we ready to start moving?
Oh, that's where it is. Okay, cool.
We gotta wait for Shatner to get back, probably.
Well, we can start moving, but we can't do much till Shatner can. I mean, I could open up. Oh no, Curse of Strahd is up in the master.
I mean, she's not here, right? Like I'm looking around. There's nothing, no footprints.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
So we started with the north.
Okay. Get a party token on here. Go ahead and roll. I think tracking is survival, right? I think that makes the most sense in this edition. Let me see.
Nice.
Okay, well, the good news is you find a bunch of tracks right outside the camp. So why don't you get to this kind of T intersection here and see if you can find anything there. Go ahead and roll again.
You rolled from the party too. Make sure you click on your.
Oh, that's why you did +6 on that.
How do I not?
You can always
do
just
exactly
click on
what
your
I-
character on the right. You can always get to your sheet from there. You see that?
Yeah. How do I? There we go.
+3. Okay, cool. Damn.
I don't know if I get any. I don't know if I get any bonus too because of the forest thing.
It might be.
It's asking me to configure survival, Royce Foxtail, proficiency level, check bonus, passive bonus, global skill check bonus.
17 is fine.
Stream.
No, it's okay. So you get out
I don't know.
of the
I
multiple
like
track.
that.
You get out of the multiple tracks area and start to kind of whittle down. You're pretty confident that you have not seen the girls' tracks, just based on foot size. Quite a bit of horse movement has been in the area as well, so it's sort of piling over these tracks as well. However, you get to this T intersection, or this intersection, I should say, and you kind of veer to the right a little bit towards the east just to see. You're thinking, hey, the little girl, she's probably going through the woods, or she's not taking the main road. Maybe you wouldn't expect her to go this far necessarily, but she's a Visanti, so who knows.
Which map are you on right now?
I'm on the town map. Sorry, I've been
Gotcha.
talking to you guys from. Do you guys have access to this one all the time or no?
Yeah, we have. We just I think we were all on the game map.
Okay. So you get to this intersection here, and I'll say just like a couple yards, maybe like 50 yards off this main intersection, you see some like tracks that probably match her size, crossing this little road here from south to north. And so you guys follow those, and you're pretty confident this is her. She takes kind of a weird sort of through this open field area sort of adventure, if you will, into this part here. And then Royce, go ahead and roll a perception check. Or roll, let me see. Yeah, go ahead and roll a perception check. It seems like somewhere around one of these abandoned houses, we'll say like this one right here, some type of scuffle or some type of interaction happens with these footprints you're following, and then some humanoid of probably adult size. With some time, how much time do you want to spend, I guess, make this more of a time game as opposed to a tracking game, as you're pretty confident you've found her? At this point, how much time do you want to spend to try and decipher like what has happened here, or do you just want to follow what looks to be the newest set of adult tracks from this area?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a few minutes to try to gather as much as I can from it.
Okay. You see presumably the girl's tracks approach and maybe kind of meander about a little bit. There is possibly some type of scuffle, and then the girl's tracks disappear. You notice there's a scuffle of sorts because there's some obvious like fall points where like a small human kind of body has like been like slid through the mud or broken up here and there, and then it's pretty clear evident that there's kind of a dragging and then possibly like just a carrying adult that leaves the area. You do have some comparisons to make between the person as they approach this area or when they were in this area, and then when they're leaving, and it does seem like the leaving tracks have maybe more weight behind them whenever they're going. So
And which direction are those
they
going?
do follow north. They head up to these woods, and they basically follow these woods right on the edge here. It's very evident. Go ahead.
How long have we been tracking them for?
In terms of time since left camp,
Mhm.
let's say it's been we'll say it's been like an hour total to get to where you are currently.
Okay, so after an hour is when I gain the benefits from Natural Explorer, but we haven't really been in the forest, so I don't know.
You can
if that's
consider
gonna
all
play
of
it.
this pretty much forest. So what benefits do you get at that point?
So difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. Your group can't become lost by magical means. Even when you're engaged in other activity while traveling, you remain alert to danger. And then what I'm looking at is while tracking other creatures, you also learn their exact number, their sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area. So I
Okay.
can tell
Okay.
if
So
she's with another person.
you don't see her tracks anymore, but you're pretty confident that this adult is carrying someone. The tracks are between, you'd say, 12 and 15 hours old, which matches up to. Are you doing that on
Hold on.
purpose, Observer?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Okay.
doing just for myself. How can you see that?
Just do
I see
self
all
roll.
private rolls.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
if you're doing self roll, that's weird. If it's
Yeah,
showing
there's
up.
self rolls.
Oh, I don't know.
I can
Interesting.
hear it.
We can all hear it.
Really? Huh.
Nice.
Sorry about that. I was just testing something.
You're good.
Roll.
I think there's a
roll.
actually private roles mod that gets rid of that.
What a concept.
Anyways, yeah. So specifically, I'm looking for the numbers. So if she's with, if she actually left with another person, their sizes, and then you already gave me how long
Yeah, so one adult,
Okay.
their size, humanoid, maybe, well, right now above average weight, but presumably carrying her. Your concerns are confirmed, but your confidence is also boosted when you get to about this part of the forest, because it seems like he puts her down um, for a moment, and there's like a mark of obviously two creatures here at this point, and probably takes a rest. For how long? Um, you would say maybe an hour or so, and then there's also some like residual, let's say like some bread, like some very simple like travel bread or some travel calories, if you will, whatever um you want to find here. So some dried meat and some crumbs, if you will. And then after a period of time, he picks her back up. But there's also a sort of a change in the movement here. It looks as though maybe she's bound. There's some like frayed rope um, in this mud in this sort of part of the forest here, and there's also presumably like a struggle from her part, as there's like some flailing and some some like attempts to escape. Um, you have no problem continuing to follow. These tracks still hug the forest just outside of what you would consider to be the sort of the view of the guards. And what you guys come to is inevitably or eventually a lake. I just wanted to show you the game map just to see about how far away it is from the town itself. So from the little peak you were at, every single hex is a fourth of a mile. So it's about a half mile out of town, basically from the tip of town. So I'm going to take you to good old Lake Z here, and what you see is pretty much what you get. I do have something to read. You continue confidently following these tracks until you get to this opening massive lake in front of you. The snow-capped mountain in the background is sort of always been seen from town, but just seems a lot bigger now, probably just because there's less in front of you. There's a pile or a section of front of tide boats here that don't look like they've been used very frequently or very often, and look relatively abandoned. One of them is sort of like shot up there on shore. The other two look, I mean, they're obviously watertight enough to float. But in the distance is what grabs all of your eyes. In the misty fog, out in the middle, well, not middle of this lake, but out about, let me see, 300 feet, you would guess, from the shore. You see a fourth boat in the lake with a lone figure sitting in it, a fishing pole in his hand, and he's kind of rocking sort of back and forth, just fishing with that pole off to the left, moving ever so subtly. There's definitely an eeriness to his movements, as he's not moving much, even for someone that's fishing. He does not seem to have noticed you, and aside from the rain and the typical animal noises that you're used to, the lake is relatively quiet.
About how far out from us is he?
About 300 feet.
I'll look to the group.
Can we see?
You guys.
Can anyone like tell what's going on over there?
Anyone's more than welcome to roll a perception check.
I think you got the best perception.
Oops.
Observer, what do your robot eyes see?
Wow, just a bit better. So Toto and Observer, you both kind of come to this conclusion at sort of the same time, and your heart sort of sinks a bit, or there's definitely a level of concern added to the current situation. The movement of the boat ever so subtly seems to not correlate with the man out in the boat. So there seems to be like subtle sort of jerks or like pushes of movement that kind of would lead you to believe there's someone else in the boat that just can't be seen, as the person sitting there seems to be kind of holding steadily, just fishing away, and then all of a sudden you'll see kind of a shake from almost that emanates from the bottom.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell the group. That's what I see. It looks like he's definitely bound her and has her there. I have an idea of how to get through this, but I'm gonna need you guys to stay back here.
What's your idea?
I am going to swim over there. So I'm gonna
Would you like
tell
to trace?
Royce to get into a good spot with your bow, and if you see him do anything that might be dangerous towards the girl at all, just take a shot.
Okay. Do you want?
And
you're gonna go out of range, so you wouldn't get past with that.
yeah, it's 300 feet, so as long as you can get high enough up to take a shot, you should find a tree. But you guys stay out of sight.
Okay, and you're going to swim.
Not necessarily. First of all,
Okay.
I'm going to summon sure some giant octopi
No.
underwater,
Okay.
out of sight, and I'm going to
Okay.
give them the command to save the girl and try to capture the man on the boat.
Okay.
And I am going to wild shape. Where is that? Class features. I'm going to wild
Where do I
shape
see
into
my
a
range?
fish. I think it's on your bow.
You're gonna wild shape into what?
A fish.
Okay.
Wild shape has run out of its. What? Oh, my thing glitched out apparently.
So
Features.
while he's doing all this shit, I'm just gonna be climbing up this tree.
Okay. You have no issue getting to the top of the
Check.
tree.
Okay.
Great. My wild shape is broken. Yeah, I'm gonna wild shape. Oh, it's because it has its own separate. It's not appearing. Okay, it looks like D&D broke my wild shape display into chat for some reason.
What did you summon? How many?
2 giant octopus.
Okay.
Sorry, is it? Yeah,
Seahorse?
CR1. No, it's giant octopus. I can get
One of
2
them.
beasts of challenge. No, it's just 2 of them.
Oh.
2 beasts of challenging 1 or lower, and their challenging rating is 1. The giant
Okay.
octopus.
Okay.
And I will turn into a fish, presumably a very fast and hard to see fish.
Okay.
I don't know enough about fish
I need you to pick one.
in reality. God damn it. Let me look up what fish exist in D&D 5e.
You're fine. You want to
Okay.
go into something small, I'm guessing, small and fast?
Yes, small and fast and hard to see,
Okay.
and the octopus need to stay out of sight as well.
Okay, and then you're going to just go straight towards the...
Yeah. Underwater. Like deep.
Okay, so they have advantage on any kind of stealth checks from water, and this water is rather dark and murky, so you're pretty confident that they would have zero issues getting there. Cool. Are you going to swim straight at him, or are you going to go at it like a different
I'm
angle?
gonna go deep. I'm gonna go deep as well. So I'm
Okay.
like out of sight.
So his back
completely.
is to the right, basically. So he's
Yeah, I'll
sitting
go
in
that
the boat.
direction.
Okay, so you're going to go out. Octopus are going to go out. You're going to swim towards the boat. You get about halfway there. Nothing seems to change from your view, which is basically nothing. You can just see, I'm guessing, a cloudy sort of bottom of the boat. Royce, from your perspective, nothing seems to change. presumably Bluto does sort of twitch and kind of fidget a bit here and there. Maybe he thinks he caught something. He seems a little more active than when you guys first walked up, but no dramatic changes. Toto, Vimrak, anything from you guys? You guys just hide in bushes.
Just staying put.
Okay. You get another halfway there, so you need a fourth after this. And Royce, you notice this first. Bluto starts to kind of reel in something as if he thinks that he caught something. He kind of jumps up in sort of a fit of surprise and maybe eagerness, and starts to kind of like do the whatever kind of mishmashed, probably broken. The whatever he's using to fish doesn't seem very efficient, but he starts to try and sort of reel in something. As he does so, he stands, and you see the boat move the most that you've seen it move at this point. And as he kind of reels this in, he gets excited, and then presumably the fish or whatever he caught is gone. He gets angry and kind of looks back towards shore. He does it for just a moment. He doesn't seem to notice any of you. But for the first time, Royce, and maybe anybody else who's watching him as best you can from a bush, he seems a bit kind of paranoid as he's kind of staring as much as he can from presumably where he came from. At the same moment, you see him sort of drop abruptly and just hit the bottom of the boat, like almost like face first. He probably like takes some damage or like hurts his face in some way, shape, or form. Observer, you're almost there. You're a sixth of the way to go. You've closed the distance, and now you can kind of see this boat shaking as much as it has, but you're not sure why. Royce, if you had to guess, you'd say that whoever's probably in this boat kicked him or tripped him, or he just fell, and basically like smacked his face on one of the sort of one of the bench seats, if you will, in this like old.
My bow is out and not
Okay.
ready to go.
Sure. So observer, you're almost there. As the gentleman in the boat gets up, he's like holding his face, and he's moving his head as if he's saying something. It's hard to tell. You do kind of hear the muffled yellings, if you will, of an adult male kind of come over the lake a bit. But for the first time, Royce, you can see him like kind of drop the fishing pole, and then kind of kick inside the boat. And he does it a couple times. Do you want to react to that?
I'm gonna wait a second.
Okay.
Is that he's a sixth of the way from the boat?
You can't
Or
really.
do
You
I
have
not know that?
Yeah, you won't know where Observer's at, but it's been
All right.
a time to where you assume he's relatively close.
Yeah, I'll give it. Just, I mean, I'm ready to release, but I'll wait
Okay.
a second.
Sure. After he does that, he kind of like straightens himself out, like he's completed some, worthy task, if you will. And then he kind of like bends down and kind of like props up this sack, this like burlap, kind of torn, not very good condition, even from your distance. You can kind of make it out. It looks to beat up or weathered, and he kind of like sits it up in the back of the boat. And then looks like he's going to turn around to like continue fishing. Observer, you reach the boat and you can do as you will. You say your octopus are a little bit behind you, as I'm guessing you're a little bit faster, as you've picked the fastest fish in D&D history. But we'll say your octopus are, I don't know, 10 seconds behind, 8 seconds behind.
I'll wait for them to get like another 5 seconds.
Okay.
I'm going to swim upwards, like out of the water and onto the boat.
Okay.
And then
So you want to swim out to basically like flop into the boat.
Yep.
Okay. Why don't you roll me an acrobatics check for that?
oh boy, this is gonna go horribly.
6. So the octopus stay put with all your might in your fish form, which I don't think you have a ton of experience in, maybe. I don't know. You lunge quite a way out of the water, and behind Bluto's back. I'm assuming this is your goal. You have a bit too much strength behind it, and you fly over the boat and flop back into the water with a resounding bloop. That Bluto notices and immediately like looks over to the left now towards you, Royce. And kind of just like peering into the water, like with his kind of hands on the side of the boat, fishing pole near his side, and he's just kind of looking like, the fuck was that? Observer, you miss, are upset about it, I'm guessing, and then kind of look up and can kind of see this real derpy, real not very healthy looking face kind of looking back down in your direction. He might actually see you as a fish at this point.
Okay, well, I'll try it again.
Okay, are you going to go up from the same angle? Are you going to go around, or
I'll go straight at him.
okay? So you want to go straight at him this time and then transform,
Yep.
assuming you land in the boat.
Yep.
Okay, so go ahead and roll an acrobatics for this.
Here comes the one.
Damn it.
Oh, there we go.
You can do this however you'd like. You can describe what you'd like to do.
Okay, so I fly up into the boat, and like midair, I'm going to I'm going to hit inside the boat, probably on him,
Okay.
and then immediately transform
Okay.
and start with a grapple.
Okay.
And at the same time, my octopus should be there by now, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. They've had plenty of time.
So they should grab the sack and like above water and just start carrying it back to shore.
Okay.
While the other octopus is going to be with me, and that's going to help grapple Bluto.
Okay. What a lovely character. He's beautiful.
Very blue.
You're gonna have no issues grappling him. He reeks of who knows what kind of alcohol is. He probably hasn't had any in a while. And just smells like old dried meat, and he's just sour. He's just gross and rain soaked. It's disgusting, honestly. However, when you get in the boat and grab him, you hear for the first time now a little girl scream out and say, "What are you doing? You're tipping the boat, you idiot! Like, be careful, you drunk idiot! Like, let me out of here! Let me out of here!" So you say that octopus are gonna jump up and just like secure her. What do you want to do at this point now that he's basically just like fishing fishing
I'll knock him out.
Okay. With what?
My fist.
Okay, I'm just gonna punch him in the head. Okay. Perfect. Sure. You punch him in the head and you knock out the drunk, incredibly gross human being. I have no problem doing that. Maybe for the first time, the little girl's voice changes, and she sounds younger, and she goes, "Is someone else on the boat? I'm a little girl. I'm in this bag. Like, let me out, please. Let me out."
Yeah, I'll tell her you need to be very calm. We're here to help. And my friend here is going to help you to shore. And I'll untie the burlap sack.
Okay. You untie, and inside, sweaty, wet, covered in dirt and mud, is this young woman who's kind of like crawling out, and you're very clearly a robot, right?
Yep, that's what I said, to be calm.
Perfect. She looks at you
works.
for like a second, and her face is just like, honestly, like just like, what the fuck? And she like looks down at Bluto, and she looks up at you, and she immediately like looks at your waist, and like maybe she's looking. You have weapons easily accessible on you?
I have a quarterstaff, but it's like tucked away at this point.
Okay. She just looks at you and goes, "Thank you." I'm gonna swim back. Is that okay?
Just to be safe, you can ride on one of my friends here, and I'll have the octopus pop out of the water.
Okay. It like thoroughly scares her for a second, but then she's like just completely enthralled. Um and wait, you said what? She was gonna swim with it, or
She can swim on top of it. It can carry her. It's a large creature.
okay. She just looks and then looks back at you and goes, "Really? I was just saying that because you were creepy, but I'm not getting that vibe as much anymore. I can ride this thing."
Yeah, you can ride it.
Her demeanor like immediately changes quickly. Like she definitely went from like damsel in distress to maybe a defensive like fight or flight mode, and now she just seems like a little kid. She's like, awesome, and she like kind of jumps out like no fear just onto the octopus, and it's like, what do I do? How do I tell it to move?
I'll just tell it to go to shore and bring the girl to the party.
Cool. So it heads to shore. She's like kind of like hanging on to this slimy, wet creature as best she can. Who knows if she's ever even seen one of these before? Probably not. Are you going to row the boat back with good old Bluto here?
I'll have the other octopus tow this thing back.
Okay, cool.
I can watch Pluto.
So Royce, you watch all of this. What you guys approached was a drunk ass in a boat with a girl in a burlap sack, and now coming back is a girl in an octopus with a smile on her face, and then fucking observer getting towed like George Washington across a frozen lake by his octopus friend here. So you have no issue getting back, and you guys can do as you will. If you want to do something immediately, or the girl, Arabelle, is going to hop off the octopus and then kind of walk to shore. She doesn't. Are you guys going to make yourselves known right away, or are you guys going to stay hidden?
Yeah, I'll climb down the tree.
Okay.
Greet her.
So a bit of a startle kind of sense right as she jumps off, as there's another person. But she kind of looks at you real quick, Royce, and she's like, Are you with
With the robot.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Arabelle. What's your name?
I'm Royce. We've been
Royce.
looking for you,
Nice.
Arabelle.
You have. Did my dad and uncle send you?
Yes, they did.
Oh
We'd like
my,
to take you back to them.
they're gonna be so mad at this drunk piece of shit. And like she turns around and is like kind of waiting for the boat to arrive, and like you're surprised to hear like such language out of someone so tiny, but there's like an intensity behind it for sure. The others, Toto, Vimrak, you guys come out.
Yep.
She gives all of you a very long kind of look. Before the boat approaches, she's very interested in all of you. Royce, she kind of looks you up and down. Like she's definitely taking note. You can tell of like what you're wearing, and your like weapons you have on you, and she seems just very like eager for knowledge, or like interested in what you guys are wearing and what you guys have. But Vemrak, she looks at you and she goes, are you from here, Orc? You look familiar."
Do I recognize her?
You do not.
No. No, I'm from far from here, I would presume. All
Do
of
you,
us are.
I've seen you in a dream, I think. Do you dream a lot?
I have some dreams, yes.
She 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 mentions something.
One part's gonna be
Rude.
that I haven't told Shatner that the octopus can go on land. Granted, they only move 10 feet per action. But while they're out of water, they can hold its breath for 1 hour. And the spell lasts for 1 hour. So I can have land octopi.
Yeah, they can do that.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, if you thought the wolves were fucked up, these things are ridiculous.
I've dealt with giant
Sounds like
octopus
druids
players.
are super powered if you know how to play them.
So
Yep.
she mentions stones and describes them in
Being stoned?
stones, long stones sticking up from the ground, in an area you've maybe not visited before. Does that? She kind of like shakes her head as if she's like confused or maybe like has like a headache for a moment, and she looks at you again. She's like, "Does that mean anything to you?"
Yeah, it does. Is there some sort of creature, some sort of keeper of these stones that you've seen?
I don't know. I was gonna ask you because I've seen them in my dreams as well. Like as you guys are having this conversation, like the boat hits behind and like observers back on the land, and he's like kind of heaving this boat, and now like all of you are distracted a bit. Maybe Vemrak, you're kind of like you want the conversation to continue, but everyone turns around to like look on Bluto's, knocked out ass sitting in this boat. And anyone close to him can kind of like just smell the reek of unshowered and alcohol on him. She kind of smiles at you, like right as this is happening. But then all your attention is kind of turned to this. Vemrak, her question or her comment is still kind of lingering on your mind, though. Observer, you kind of pull up and you can say what you will.
I'll have the octopus pick him up and crawl into land. And, like, well, do we want to give this guy to the Visanti or to Valaki?
I think you should have just thrown him in the lake. Do everyone a favor. As far as I can tell, I think I've heard of this useless human. He's a burden on the town. And if you take him back to my dad, he's just going to kill him. I'm going to let you know right now. So do with him as you will. I don't care. But
I'd probably feel pretty good if he could take his anger out on something.
he might. Oh, I don't know when the last time he's killed something was, but his anger really only sparks when I am involved. Usually it's something I've done and my fault, but this time it was not the case. I would almost prefer if we took care of him, to be honest, because prefer not to see what a loser managed to capture me. And she kind of like stands up straight and kind of like brushes herself off a bit. But I'll leave it to the adults to make your decisions. I understand I'm just the kid in the situation.
What do you guys think?
Could take him back to town first.
How did you end up with this drunk?
Well, I don't. Dad tells me not to go north, but I get so bored of all the places I play around in to the south and to the east away from town. So, sure enough, I'm going to get ridiculed and in trouble because the one time I go north, I run into this jackass who happened to be, I guess, in a drunken rage, rambling about fish and wine and needing to sacrifice me to something, and he caught me off guard as I was kind of, I guess, just hanging out by one of the town buildings, and he scared me and he hit me and he just got the jump on me right away. But I tell you, if I was not distracted or didn't realize he was there, the smelly loser, I don't even know how he snuck up on me, but I guess he just tied me up and dragged me from that point. I remember him dropping me at some point. I'm surprised he even carried me that far, as horrible as he looks. But somewhere in the forest, he dropped me and put me in that disgusting old sack. And I don't know what he was waiting for, but we were on the water for a while today. Thank God you guys showed up. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate story, if I must say.
Was he specific at all about what he was going to sacrifice you to?
You've talked to him for a brief second. I don't know. He said he wanted wine, and that there was no more wine, and he mentioned some stupid festival, and he was complaining about the guards and the some place called the something water inn that he's just drunk or crazy, but I don't know. This lake has many rumors about it. There's supposedly some creature living in it, so I don't know. He's gonna throw me in, or who knows? I don't know exactly, but the word sacrifice and little girl came up a couple times while I was in the sack, but it's hard to remember. It was not a fun 24 hours for me, if you can imagine, or ever found yourself in a sack before. She kind of looks over at him with just this look of disgust.
So
Okay.
I'm
So you guys,
looking at my notes, and I have that Ludo was missing, but I didn't write down who actually cared about him being missing.
The
The
burrowmaster
Yeah.
was worried about him because he was so drunk at the last festival that he caused a commotion. And so the Vargas was basically asking you to bring him in so that he could be in custody while the next festival was going on, so he didn't cause any issues. And then you guys asked about him at the Blue Water Inn, and Danica had mentioned that he doesn't typically drink there, but he comes in and trades whatever he finds for alcohol, and they give it to him, and then he's just kind of a town drunk. So a lot of people know of him, but Danica made a comment like not many people would probably miss him. So
It's my only. I don't really care about him, and I'll make this clear to the rest of the group. I don't care what we do with him. The only thing that might be interesting is finding out if he knows anything useful about the lake. But beyond that, I don't really care what we do with him.
the Arabelle looks up and she goes, I can assure you, Toto, you said, right?
Yeah, I'm
This
Toto.
drunk bastard doesn't know anything. And probably all of the rumors you heard of the lake aren't true either, because my people have heard them and told them, and I probably heard the same ones, if not more. But I've lived my whole life, I know not that long, close to this lake, and I've never seen anything happen here. No mad mage, or no, creature, or no, lights floating over the water at night. But like I said, I'm just a little girl, so you do you.
how long does it take to get back to the camp?
With your guys' horses, like it's a couple miles, I think, overall. So
If we're gonna take him back to the Visanti, we probably want to give a wide berth around the town so they don't see us carrying this drunkard on the
it's
back
like
of
a
a horse.
mile and a half.
Yeah.
How the bird flies, how the
But I
crow
don't
flies.
care what we do with him. Like at this point, he's no better than any other monster I've killed. So
I feel like letting the dad vent his frustrations after.
Arabelle perks up at your monster comment. She's like, "You've killed a lot of monsters. What else have you killed?"
well, here we've dealt with some vampire spawns and some other stuff. Before this,
Ooh.
I'd rather not get into it.
Oh, maybe another time, because pardon my prying, and I do appreciate you guys rescuing me, and I'll make sure that my father rewards you handsomely. But who are you guys? Like, are you guys adventurers?
Could say that, I guess.
Um,
We're not from around here,
that's really
obviously.
awesome. Um, uh, maybe I could go on your guys' next adventure, like wherever you guys go. Like, I could be really helpful. Like, I know the current situation we find ourselves in wouldn't prove that to be true, but I have been training my whole life to be sneaky and be useful, and I would really like to go, and maybe because my dad will trust you guys and stuff. Like, maybe he'll let me go um, with you guys. Yeah, next time.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
What we actually need the most is information more than anything else.
Oh, I can I can do that. I mean, I've never been into Valakut, but um and I'm told not to go there. But like I said, I'm really stealthy, and I'm getting older now, and I don't want to live in that tiny camp my whole life. So my dad's gonna have to just understand that, like, eventually I'm gonna grow up and have to become something. So, and I want to be an adventurer. So, yeah, if it comes to um, that at camp, maybe one of you guys could stick up for me, and I promise I would be super duper helpful and not annoying at all. But just think about it.
So
well,
I'm
maybe
gonna.
when you're
Yeah.
maybe
about
when you're a little older. How old are you, Arabelle?
I, how do you think I am? How do I come off as? How mature do I seem?
I'm gonna take out my warhammer
Okay.
and I'm gonna hand it. I'm gonna give it to Arabelle like pummel first
Okay.
and say, "Here, take this."
I know what you're doing. Are you so naive that you think that I have to hurt things to help you? Because I've thought of this already. I don't even need a weapon. I could help in so many ways. Yes, you can swing this thing better than me. And she like reaches out to like play your game. Like, how much does it weigh?
I think like 5 pounds probably. It's a
Oh,
they're
so
not that they're
okay,
not that heavy, but they're
okay. So she picks it up and she's like, "Yes, yes, yes."
and so then I'm gonna like squat down, and I'm not trying to be mean to her at all. Like there's
Okay.
no animosity in my voice at all. But I'm gonna pull as best I can the chainmail up like off of my left arm, where I have as I pull it up. Uh, I'm gonna say, Arabella, have you ever met a ghoul?
No, but I've read about them. And I know they stink, and I know that they are susceptible to most damage types, and they don't like good things because they're evil, and they're typically the reanimated corpses of other things that lived before. And I know that I could trip one,
So, and
maybe.
I'll say that's all true, or at least true enough. And you've obviously done a lot of research. And just so you know, like Toto's like 6 foot tall and pretty built.
Yeah.
Like he's a decent looking guy. And I'm gonna pull my sleeve up and show her just a lattice of scars on my forearm. that are pretty nasty looking, and say, Arabelle, do I look like an adventurer to you?
Are you saying that as you pull up your sleeves or before?
As I'm pulling it up, like I'm just like I'm kind of like squatted down to be at her level,
Yeah.
and just kind of like letting my arm be bare. Like
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like pulling the sleeve up as I'm asking her if I look like do I look like a powerful adventurer to you?
Yeah, so she like looks and she's kind of got that same like enthralled look that you saw Observer when she first saw the like octopus thing. She probably doesn't know what it's called, and she's like, "Whoa, yeah!" And you got to be a really good one if you're still here and you have all those, which I think is even more of a reason to take on someone like me because you're so good at surviving and protecting people, and I can be super helpful in that.
Yeah, we're really
I
good at
know.
protecting people. Hey, Vemrak, show her your eyes.
So my eyes are his eyes are gone. My eyes are white. I'll say,
True.
Arabella, these scars on my arm. I got those when my master died letting me escape from a pack of ghouls. I know you want to do this, but let's get you home and get you safe. And if you want to become an adventurer, you can do that. But you probably need to know more than how to just hide.
Well, maybe. Okay, I respect what you're saying, but all I'm saying is that you can't always judge a little girl by her cover or by the fact that this drunk asshole captured me.
Do
Which
did I'm not that smart. I'm a half orc. Do I get the feeling like this is a little girl?
yeah, for sure. Everybody gets that feeling. She
She's a
just seems
7-year-old girl, right? She's like 4 feet tall.
yeah,
if
she's
that.
tiny.
Well, also like you had, I don't know if it was just a slip of the tongue, but you said like out of the sack came a young woman. You didn't say little girl, so
No, that was just a slip.
all right.
I mean,
I have an 8-year-old daughter. She's
Oh.
about 50 pounds soaking wet, 4 feet tall. That's about how big they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
If
Vemrak,
anything,
you could throw her 20 feet.
She did you say that? Because
20?
she would explain how that would be helpful and she could hit something. She seems incredibly well read, and from anyone you've met so far outside of like adults that have been like no one's really been to school much in these places, right? So it's kind of a breath of fresh air to see someone that's probably just had access to like so many books and things and stories. So she really does sound like you're talking to like a teenager. Um, but then like obviously like the 7-year-old girl comes out in frustration or in like her just complete awe of something, or um, her kind of like short-sightedness, if you will. Like she said my whole life multiple times. It's like, okay. So but yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of like there's no suspicion of her like age. But she does seem different. I mean, she had a connection with you about a dream you've had. So that's sitting on your conscience in some way, Vimrak.
Right.
So she kind of looks around. She's like, okay, well, Chodo, I appreciate you and thank you for showing me that and that valuable lesson for sure. What are we going to do now? Because are we taking this guy back to my
Yeah.
dad?
Yeah, let's take
Okay.
him.
Okay. Yeah. Are we going to like throw him on a horse or something? Like we should definitely
Yeah.
tie him up. Like he can't go very far, but He
Oh
really
yeah,
stinks.
yeah, no.
And honestly, if I could be on another horse, preferably in front of him, that would be great because he's really gross. So yeah.
He can be on my horse. I don't
Okay.
have to smell him.
By the way, what was that? What was that creature? What's that creature you made? What is that?
That's called an octopus. A giant octopus.
I have read about these, but it didn't have any illustrations in it, and that is so cool. Are you a mage? Are you a wizard?
I'm a druid.
Are you a
So
good druid?
sort of. I would say
All I
I'm
hear
kind
about
of
is evil
neutral.
druids. You don't seem too evil to me.
I'm not
But
like the druids from this land.
okay, well that's clear because I think you're made of metal. But I don't want to offend you,
And wood.
especially if you're an evil druid. But okay, we can go. Shall we go?
Yep. I'll have the octopus hold him as we tie him up, and then I'll have it put him on the horse with me.
Okay.
Is she still holding my warhammer, or did she give up trying to swing it around?
She gave it back. She
Okay.
was like admiring it and like taking note of like any of like the scratches and blemishes in it, mostly. Like, but yeah, she handed it back and she kind of like is sort of like ready to settle up. Are you guys gonna take the most
Conspicuous.
conspicuous? Thank you. I could not find that
Yep.
path back to
Yes.
to the okay. Thank you.
And how long of a
I
trip is
would
that?
say, are you guys under any kind of effects from like difficult terrain, or
Nope.
there that's still active? There's no such thing as difficult terrain.
Yeah, we are not affected by
Hey,
Okay, so
Shad.
it's yeah. What's up?
difficult terrain.
I don't have a dagger on my character sheet, but would you care if I had one?
No, that's fine.
I'm gonna when she gives the warhammer back, I am gonna give her a dagger and say
Okay, just like a normal, like
just a
basic
normal
dagger?
just a normal basic dagger and say, I think you should I don't know if you're probably not gonna listen to me, but you should keep this. I'll feel better if you have it.
Oh, I really? I have some copper at home. I'll pay you for it. Us Visanti are all about trading, so yeah. Let me give you something. Or
Consider it a lesson you're probably gonna learn in the future is your payment for the dagger.
she just looks at you, maybe like hoping you would say that, and then she just smiles and like nods real quick down and like takes the dagger and she goes, "Does it have like a little sheath with it?" I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm assuming it would.
Okay, so she just kind of like is like she's like left side, right side, left side, right side, like trying to figure out like what side she wants to put it on. And then she kind of like fastens it onto her like little wet belt and muddy clothing she's wearing and kind of like
I'll
tucks
say-
it on the side.
Arabella, are you right-handed or left-handed?
I can use both. I practice with both, but mostly left.
Put it on the opposite hip.
Okay. Oh, because you want to pull like a cross, right?
To start with.
Okay. Lesson 1. Got it. Okay. Perfect. And she like moves it to the other side, and you can tell.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay.
That's fine.
Anything you guys want to do with the horses and non-trailed terrain, it would typically have taken you guys kind of a long time to get through the woods. However, Royce's ability to find like the perfect track through the woods on horseback allows you guys to easily follow, and the horses have no issue doing so. So it's really just like we'll call it like 2.5, 3, like call it like 3 mile walk, just to be real safe. You're um out of the view of the guards, to get kind of around the outskirts of town, and then to get back to the camp. So we're gonna say maybe 30 minutes total. Is that fine with everybody?
I'll have my octopus wave goodbye to the girl
Okay.
and have them kind of go into the water and let them kind of do whatever they want.
Okay.
They have like a full hour.
Yeah, full hour. Wait, is it just an hour? I thought it was only an hour above water, or is that an hour total?
An hour total for the summon. And
Oh,
they can
okay.
also be above water for an hour because they can hold their breath for an hour.
Oh, so they could be above ground the whole time if you wanted the ink or something. Gotcha.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. She's like, bye. Do they live there, or did you like create them?
Oh, I summon them. They're actually I think they're fairies, right? Or like they are fae creatures.
They okay. Can you make any snakes?
You know what? I wonder if I can. Never tried.
Let me see. Cat base, scorpion, spider.
I can make poisonous snakes. I
What
can
number
make
is that on? Oh, flying.
that is 1/8, so I could make um 8. I could make 8 poisonous snakes.
She's like, whoa, don't do that. I have seen a couple. I was just curious as they intrigue me. And I'm assuming this is all while you guys are walking back. So does anybody else
Yeah.
want to say anything or do anything? Bluto is sufficiently out, it seems. He probably needed to sleep more than anything anyway. So it's probably a non-issue for him to continue sleeping. Everyone else is fine.
Shatner's
I can actually
gonna start
do.
sleeping too.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Nothing.
Oh, we
Said
can
you're gonna
start
start
sleeping
sleeping.
too. Yeah.
I can actually make 8 giant poisonous snakes.
Jesus Christ.
They're not as bad as they sound.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure they die in like one
Yeah.
hit. I mean, they're 1/4 challenge.
Yeah.
It's the giant constrictor snake you got to worry about.
Ooh, that's cool.
Oh, I can make one of those. I can summon one giant constrictor snake.
Those can be
That's
useful.
awesome.
Yeah, that's rad. Cool. So you guys are about halfway back and you run into some Visanti. They're kind of creeping in the woods. Royce, you kind of hear them and like have the group stop, but you kind of hear them like not like screaming, but kind of yelling out like Arabelle, Arabelle. So you assume right away like they're the Visanti that are searching. And do you want to call out to them or just like approach them? How do you want to do that?
Yeah, we'll call out.
Okay. So you guys call out, they go quiet and they kind of sneak up as best that they can, but they're no match. You kind of like see them coming. And they're just like, "Oh my god, you found her. Uh who are you? Where are you taking her back to camp, right?"
Yeah. Who was her uncle and her dad?
Argol
What's his name?
and Lavash.
Yeah, we're taking them back to Argol.
Okay. We've not met you, but you are heading in the right direction. So mind if we just trail in the back and make sure you're going the right place?
Of course not.
All right. Amazing. Awesome.
I'm gonna
The
look at the girl and see how she reacts to them.
that's true. She looks up and she like calls them both by name and she's like happy to see them.
Okay, cool.
And like at that point they're like sit at ease and she like as they're going she like tells the story about how you guys saved her and they're just like holy shit. And then like one of them's like, this is the guy. Whose horse is he on the back of? Who's riding with Bluto? Okay. The two Visanti that you guys ran into like following in the back. They're not on horseback because they weren't necessarily expecting to go as far. And like one of them just takes like a fucking cheap pop shot at Bluto, and you hear him just like grunt and like gurgle a bit. And they're like, you just hear him say like piece of shit, and then they're like, oh sorry, Arabelle, that was adult language. And like she just kind of smirks and like laughs a bit. Um, all of you knowing how much you've already heard her curse so far. So you guys approach the camp. The elf that was out front earlier seems to be inside. It's a bit darker. It's a bit later in the day. But the two Visanti with you guys kind of run forward. And then there's like a definite like movement inside the tent as you guys approach, and the two brothers kind of like run out with just like, you know, worry on their face. Looks like they still haven't slept. And then Arabelle like jumps off and just kind of runs over and like hugs her dad. It's a real tender moment, if you will. He's just like, I'm so happy like you're back. Like, where did you go? I can't believe that you were gone. Like, what happened to you? She starts to like tell the story. Does anybody want to chime in as you guys like continue to like kind of climb up the hill, because she jumped off and ran up?
I let her tell the story.
Yeah. So she tells the story. She like apologizes to her dad. She's very specifically, you know, being still realizing she did something wrong. So she kind of like tries to keep out the part where she was somewhere she shouldn't have been. But after the story, just for the brief moment, you guys get to the top of the hill and move you guys here. The horses kind of meander their way back to their little feeding pits. They're used to eating. Brothers are out here. They walk up, kind of like Argyl's like holding his Argyl's holding his Argyl's holding his daughter. And he's like, I cannot thank you enough. And he like whistles, and like one of the other Visanti, like that you guys recognized from the tent before, they're like, we'll take him from here. I assume you brought him back to leave with me, or did you have other thoughts for him?
He's for you.
Perfect.
If there is any chance he knows anything about the lake, we'd like to know.
Well,
Do you want?
perhaps we could stay and talk to these folks now that they're right words tonight. Now that their worries are calmed, we can trade.
Yeah.
And
So Argyl like looks up. He's just kind of like, he's a bit confused. He's like, I don't mean to offend. I cannot thank you enough, but what do you mean about the lake? Is if there's something that you'd like to do with this Bluto fellow beforehand, like, understand I was going to throw him in one of these wagons and lock it up tight until I'm ready to deal with him, as my daughter is here at this moment, and a father's anger is great, as some of you may be able to relate to, but having her back is more important right now. But was there something that you wanted to ask him once he woke up or was sober? Yes, you can feel free to do that, and consider yourselves welcome here anytime. I'm not sure if there's an empty space in any of the elf homes, but please, we can definitely clean out and make space for the four of you in a wagon if you'd like. So please come in and help yourself to any drink and food that you'd like. And he like individually goes up, like holding his daughter, and like shakes all of your hands. And then Lavash afterwards, like kind of like holds all of your hands like tightly, and like with the second hand comes over, and he's like, "It's a great thing you did today. Really appreciate it. Not a lot of folk come from Valaki and come here to help us. I know you're not from there, but it's a sigh of relief for a day that could have ended very poorly. So please, come help yourself to what we have to offer here." And kind of like beckons you all into the tent for food and drink. So everyone's fine with that?
Yep.
You find a great assortment of food. Most of it you've seen already at this point. Some of it, though, you have not. Have not seen in a long time since being in this land. You see some like more exotic fruits that you've not tasted maybe since coming to Barovia or ever. You see some drinks, some wines that you've never seen before. For those interested, they are more than happy to open those casks, pop those bottles to share with you. Everything you try here is pretty much of the highest quality, or a much higher quality than what you're averagely finding throughout the town. even in a place like Valaki, like this stuff just is. It's outerworldly because it's literally outerworldly. It's not necessarily from here, and who knows what premium they may have charged for these things in a normal situation. But Arabelle is quick and eager to eat and to change, and she does so pretty quickly, and then kind of makes her way back to the tent, and she's hanging around her dad for the most part throughout this celebration, if you will, but she is very eager to talk to the four of you. So is there anything you guys wanted to do specifically, or are you just going to kind of have the next couple hours go by, eat, drink, hang out? Is that fine, or did you guys want to do something specific?
I
think. Well, go ahead.
I say at some point I'd love to try and get Argyle kind of one-on-one. Not in like a mean way, but like I'd love to do an aside with him at some point.
Yeah, you can do that whenever. Like, there's a certain level of respect you guys have gained quicker than probably any outsider ever. And so if you want to just do that, you can. He's definitely in charge here, but he's not like the center of attention. Like everyone here that's speaking, and kind of, you see a lot of people like from the wagons like start to come out. Like the tent like fills up, and as like people from like the search party kind of make their way back, they kind of hear the celebration happening as they approach, and so they kind of run up like winded and exhausted, but kind of get the feeling like, oh, like she's been found. So the shuffling in and out of Visanti in and out of the tent is dramatic compared to what you were used to initially. And then there's also like people hanging out by some wagons outside. There's a couple elves here and there that kind of make their way up, or there's some Visanti that go down to some elf houses and stuff. So it's kind of like a big old party that's just gonna go on for who knows how long. So we'll say for the next hour or two, it's definitely going strong. There's people cooking more food and kind of just celebrating, and all the while, like Bluto is presumably locked up in one, and let's say he's locked up in this wagon, and there's like Argyle like posts two Visanti on that specifically to watch him. He kind of mentions to you like he doesn't think this is anything other than like an outlier type of situation, but just in case someone sent him, he wants to make sure that he doesn't escape. You can tell he's just got like the uncertainty of like being so close to Valaki like on top of mind, even in a situation like this. But yeah, Toto, if you want to pull him aside, you can, or if someone else wants to do something specific, you can. If not, the party's just going to kind of go, and you guys can do as you wish.
Well, did we want to? I know it's getting kind of late for Grim. I know you had mentioned that you need to go to bed soon. Do we want to cut here before we get into all the dialogue?
I think Grim said he could stay up.
Yeah, I mean, I got
If
a
it's
little bit of
fresh
extra
in
time.
mind, if it's fresh in mind, we can probably just do the dialogue now, and then
I'm
we
off
can
this
kinda
week, guys.
just
I
close
ain't
out
got
this little
shit to do
section.
tomorrow.
Nice.
Well, then you got
We
another
can close
3
out
hours.
this little.
I don't know if I have
Double
3
down.
hours because I'm still gonna pass the fuck out at a certain point. But I think so. What I just want to Argyle, I kind of want to let him. I want to let him know, like, hey, you know, your daughter's really smart, really precocious. She wants to like join us on whatever we do next. I'm not sure that's a great idea. Also, I gave her a dagger. I don't know how you feel about that, but I wanted to let you know, so you're not
He looks
surprised
at
later.
you. He's definitely been drinking, and he's happy, but there's like a high level of like at least like new respect for you. So he kind of looks at you with a nod of like approval, and he's like, I appreciate you bringing this to me, like a man, and like making it known so there's no surprises, as I've obviously had a lot at this point. And he kind of looks at you and he goes, she's been really antsy a lot lately, and she's growing up faster and faster, and she's just so damn smart. I think she's already like as smart as me, and I know this place will not be, you know, a permanent home for her. Like always a place she can come back to, but not a place she just wants to grow old in. And so, um, yeah, I don't think I could make that decision. Obviously, having just met you guys today, but what you've done today was great, and it's definitely something I'll keep in mind. But
I'm not telling you.
yeah, I really appreciate it.
I'm not telling you that she should go with us. I'm more warning you.
No, I understand, because knowing her, she'll sneak onto a horse or sneak into a wagon or sneak somewhere else. So at least knowing this, it's it's good to know where to look next if she goes missing again, if you know what I mean. So, but what are your guys' plans? Are you staying in Valaki long term? Are you traveling from here? Do you have additional, like, is there something that we could help with in terms of um, any kind of like current plans you have going on? I can't do much in terms of what's inside Valaki city walls, but we travel these lands endlessly. There's any tens upon hundreds of us kind of roaming around any given time. So please let me know if there's something I could possibly help with, and don't think I've forgotten the reward. Let me know when you'd like to check out my secret stash, if you will, and you can take something from there as your heart desires. So,
sorry, I just burped and that was really loud. Awesome. It's just in fitting with drinking, right? Okay, so
right.
I'll say we may have some odds and ends in the town to deal with. Do have a couple questions for you though. Like, so both the Baron and Miss Watcher have been plying us.
As you say the first name, he just spits on the floor, like right in front of you.
Yep. No, that's cool.
He's like, continue.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you know anything, but the vibe, like a fucking cleric would say, the vibe.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe.
We're operating on moods and vibes here. No,
what does your aura say?
God damn it.
The feeling.
I don't get a good feeling off of either of them. I don't know if you know much about either of those families. If there's anything you do know, I'd be grateful to get your take on them.
I mean, they all have deep ties to the city they call home, and that I can respect and understand. But the evil that they've done at the same time towards my people and the Baron mostly, I know much less of this Watcher woman, but the Vargas name goes back generations, and it's mostly his father and his father's father as to why they are so despised in general in this area and by my family as well. The same sort of ruthlessness and over the top, sort of police state that they've created, never allowed my people into town because he believes that we are all Strahd worshipping spies. And while I admit that we don't necessarily have a default negative view of Strahd, as our history goes back, as I'm sure you know at this point, but that doesn't mean that we're all sitting here feeding him information, if you will, and making everyone else's life a living hell. So we cannot help the situation we are in. We are here, and we did not choose that any more than someone didn't choose to be stuck here as well. So what all of our ancestors did years ago was done, and those decisions were made for us. And I'd be careful having that conversation with the Dusk Elves nearby, as they're still living their history's choices as well. By the way, if you've not spoken with Kashmir, I would say do so before you leave. He's an interesting sort, and if you find yourself still poking around the deeper, darker regions of this land, he's maybe someone you'd want to speak with. He just lives to the north, or to the south of the tent here, just down the hill. So, just something might interest you overall. But
So, thanks. And don't take this the wrong way or tell me to shut up, but everybody seems to have really strong opinions about you guys in Strahd, and I don't really understand that. Is there
and
like ancient history going on there that would be good
oh,
to know about?
you don't know why we can walk through the fog and you can't? He kind of like treads lightly through the conversation.
I'll say a lot of people have said a lot of bad things, right? And I'm haven't
Trying to
gotten
get
the
to the bottom of it.
impression from your camp, the other camp we met.
So
Maybe
Strahd came to this land to conquer it, and conquer it he did. In doing so, he fell in love with a woman who fell in love with his brother, and he killed his brother, and then his woman threw herself off of the castle he built for his family and his wife to live in. Um, the castle guards turned on him because he had killed the family and gone crazy in their eyes, and so they shot at him, they attacked him, and they drove him out of his own home, in which case he fell to his death and should have died. However, he made a deal with someone, um, and or excuse me, he ran from his home and ran into a Visanti camp at the time that was uh, okay with him and actually took care of him and nursed him back to enough health to survive. So basically, my people back in the day when he was supposed to be dead, we saved his life once. And because of that, and whatever deal he made with whatever deity has locked this place in its endless gate, if you will, of seclusion or isolation. Um, because of what we had done in the heartfelt act, I guess, of not judging him at that moment in time. Part of his response to becoming a vampire and becoming who he is now was to make sure that we were not damned to this place, even though he knew that he would be. So it's understood, and it's easy to understand the assumption that all of us are simply servants of him, but you know, there are thousands of us that live in this land as well, give or take those that leave. And it's not like all of us go eat dinner with him every weekend, or that all of us are happy with the things he's done or hasn't done. We just happen to not be tied here and are strong enough and wise enough to take advantage of a situation that no one else can do, because what would this whole land be if we didn't bring in anything ever, even though we're seen as evil and negative, in most people's eyes. So it's definitely a an understandably shifty situation, but not inherently our fault by any means. Some of my people made a decision hundreds of years ago to save a man's life, and that's led to a part of the situation you find yourselves all in now. So I understand that from your perspective, he is nothing but evil, as he has most likely drawn you here to God knows what with, and I apologize for that. But I assure you that myself and my camp are not actively working with you or for him. But how much of that you can trust, as it's just my word, um, do with that what you will. But that's the true history. That's the true story. Um, Anything outside of that is hearsay or someone that's never come over here to talk to us. And also throughout history since then, we've been demonized into the scapegoat for every bad thing that ever happens, even though we've just become kind of nomadic traders in the last 4 centuries. So yeah, that's the real story of the Visanti. Not to say you won't find evil ones that might attack you right away, as there are, groups of us that I know would probably do that and even attack us in some situations. But the default Visanti you run into typically just wants to have a good time, trade, and live as happy a life as possible.
Thank you. It's quite clarifying. I got one more question for him, but I don't. Does anybody else want to do anything? I've been dominating time a little bit.
You're one-on-one with him right now?
I mean, one-on-one, if anybody else wanders over, I doubt it would make a difference, but I have one or two other questions for him.
Yeah, what's up?
I guess.
Go ahead.
If I overheard the conversation, I'll be pretty blunt. Like, we're looking for ways to kill Strahd so we can leave this land. Do you know of anything that could actually help us?
When you say kill Strahd, do you hear that so the entire tent hears that?
No, just him.
Okay. He kind of like you can react if you want, because you're both probably, relatively combat-oriented individuals. But he reaches out like kind of lightning speed and kind of grabs your arm. Do you want to react to that, or kind of like let him do it?
I'll let him do it.
He kind of grabs your arm and just like pulls you in close. He's like, "Listen, friend," and I use the word friend lightly, not because I don't think we can get there, but because it's obviously a very new relationship. You can't go around talking about stuff like that. And if that's your ultimate goal, I won't judge you for it, because if I put myself in your shoes, we'd be in the same boat. One of the best things I can do is say, if you've spoken to Madame Ava, which I'm guessing you have, that's good. If you've not spoken to her, go speak with her. And another good person to talk to is probably the guy down south I mentioned earlier. And he kind of like nods his head to the like outside the tent.
The Kashmir guy?
And he's like, if anyone's got a bone to pick with the old Strahd, it's probably the Dusk Elves. Because part of the story I mentioned, or forgot to mention, because it's a little bit of a sore subject here, and he's whispering now, he's like, the reason there's not a lot of Dusk Elves outside isn't because they die and they haven't been trying to procreate. It's actually because Strahd killed all the women 400 years ago, and these are the ones that are left. So, yeah. And he kind of leaves it at that, and then kind of like takes a big drink and gives you a little like smile / like probably not the best conversation to have here. But he looks over at you, Toto. He's like, anything else from you? Maybe not so intense, if you know what I mean. And he kind of like gives you like a friendly look, observer.
Well, we could probably use some more equipment. If there's anything you have for sale.
Yes. Well, I do have things for sale, which I need to make a sale sheet for them. I don't have that. But he goes, let's go to my cart. You guys want to do that now? I found a couple items, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if all of them are terribly useful or have any kind of extra meaning, but I've kept them because they seemed important, or I believe them to be important. And he kind of like walks you guys out into the rain and over to a cart that's like probably purposefully placed here, like in front of the door, so they can all kind of see it. It's noticeably like padlocked up very well, and he pulls out like a handful of keys and starts to go through them to unlock these multiple locks. He's like, "Yeah, I know it's a lot, but okay, hold on. Before I open this up, and I hope I'm not trying to be like sleight of hand here by any means, because I obviously cannot thank you enough for saving my daughter. But typically, if I'm not going to charge you for anything in here, so is it fair to say you can't touch anything? You can just look, but whatever one item you choose, you can just have it?
That works for me.
Is anything in here cursed?
He's like, you can't touch it. You just got to choose it. Curses? I don't know. I'm not a huge magic user, but it's things that people have told me are very valuable, or they've come off as very valuable. But I'm not sure. So
Are we allowed to detect magic on them?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine with me.
We're not paranoid at all.
You guys are fine with those terms?
Yeah, so we got everybody though.
I think so.
Okay.
Max said it was gonna BRB.
Who did?
Yes, sir.
Vimrak. Of course he did.
He can choose last.
Well, it's one item for the group.
Oh, I see.
Stingy.
5e is not balanced around magic items existing. What? Oh. Yeah, I'm good. I sent you a DM, Shatner. Just I don't know if you saw it or not.
Yes. Yeah, we can go with that.
As if Vimrak's not here.
Seems like Vimrak's not here, and I feel like he might have something to say about this. So let's give him a moment.
Alright, that's fine. Wait for me.
He usually has some kind of...
Oh, I think I sent Vimrak, or the thing I sent Shatner is I just want to ask about the Abbey.
Yeah, so we'll just retcon. We'll just say we're still talking, and we'll wait for Vimrak to get back to see if he's fine with the terms, because I just want everybody here before we do this little fun part. So he goes, yes, the Abbey. I assume you're talking about the city of Kreesk, right? Is that the one you're looking for?
Yep.
Yeah, what do you want to know about it? Like, do you need to go there? I could maybe...
I think there's a good
show you where it's at.
There's a good chance we're heading there.
Okay.
But we've heard kind of conflicting reports of it being safe, or there being a monster that lives in the Abbey, or something.
Yeah, I think it's both. So there's... I've been there, but they didn't let me in. Go figure. But it's not for the same reasons as like a place like Valaki. They don't take kindly to outsiders. They kind of treat everybody like they're Visanti. He like laughs it off. And I think the reason is because it works. As far as I know, we don't really trade with them very often at all. I know some of my they'll get like odd kind of like unique items for them here and there, but unless they've got some other suppliers which we've never seen on the road, or they're being very stealthy about it, they seem to be like fully self-sufficient, which is impressive, considering how much all these cities kind of rely on each other to survive. Now, that being said, that that town, if you will, it's got to be small. Like, I doubt it's even 100 people. Below, they're on sort of the mountainside. Up on the top of the mountain, that's where the stories get kind of crazy. Like, so you've heard there's a monster up there?
Something like that.
Yeah, I've my great grandpa told me when I was a kid that there was an angel that lived up there. But that was the only positive thing I've ever heard. And to be honest with you, as crazy as this world can be, like, I don't know how if every angel is good necessarily, but in terms of like the howling and the barking and like the like total isolation and seclusion, it's just ironic to me that in a place such as Barovia, which you find yourselves in, and I understand the circumstances, I'm not trying to be rude, but one of the safest places presumably is also close to an incredibly like dangerous place. But in terms of what's actually up there, I've never been up there. As far as I know, you can't even really get to the Abbey unless you go through the town. So maybe there's some type of like agreement with the two. But I don't know for sure about that. But if you haven't heard there's an angel there, you can add that to your list of crazy things you've heard.
I'm back, by the way. I've heard everything, so I'm informed.
Cool. I'm going to pee real quick.
Did you hear about the wagon and the deal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's all good. We just saved the dude's daughter, man. Like, you gotta have some say. Like, at least see what's magical, what's not. And...
So here's my thoughts on it. I mean, you said yourself that you don't even know how valuable these things are, and if we're not allowed to touch it, we're not even allowed to look at it. I think we should get at least 2 items, right?
Maybe. Also, I'll say something when the chat comes back.
Yeah, I'm back. So, any questions about the Abbey before we end that sort of little partition of the conversation?
I'm good.
Okay. So back to the wagon. You guys are outside. He says 1 item, you can't touch it, you can't cast anything. And Sterling, you say you're going for 2. Why don't you roll and tell me what you're going to say, and then roll me a persuasion check.
Okay. Let me find it. Yeah, so I'll ask him again. I said, so you're not really sure, what the value of these items are, you said? Not really an expert.
Yeah, I mean, they're not an expert. I mean, don't insult a man that's been involved in trade his entire life, but at the same time, like, they seem unique. We're not talking daggers and bread, you know?
Listen, Argyle, we just met you today, and we just saved your daughter from sure death, honestly. I don't think anyone else would have found that drunk in the boat if it wasn't for our ranger here. We brought her back. She's safe and sound. We even brought you the culprit, even though the town wanted him. And furthermore, your daughter seemed to know me in a sense, and I'll kind of like point to my eyes, hidden under my bare headdress, and say, when I first arrived here, I died, and there was a creature that I met on the other side who decided to give me another chance, and his penance was he took my eyes from me, a gift for a gift, so to speak. And since then, I've had dreams about him and just a lot of strange imagery. And when we first met your daughter, she recognized me and said that she's seen me in her dreams. So, as luck would have it, I think fate brought us together today. So, how can we let?
I'll stop you there, Orc. Yes. This is not just the delicious wine we've popped to celebrate such a day. Yes. Fine. I think 2 items is plenty. But do we agree to those terms before we see them?
That we can't detect magic?
That you cannot detect magic, and you can have 2 items because of the obvious fate that was applied and used here today. Sure.
How big of a guy is it?
Let me see. um
4'7".
Let me see. So he's a little smaller than his brother, but they're both like very physically fit. He's not as big as you, Vimrak, but he's definitely not. He's not like just your average human. Like he's got some bulk to him for sure.
How about this? Take 2 items. 2 items. We can't magic detect them. And we take Bluetooth back to the town. Or we can magic detect them. We take 2 items and you get to keep them.
See, the best part about this for me is the mystery of what you take, because I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what's in half of these things. But I also don't have anything that I really want in life anymore in terms of possessions. So you guys have saved my daughter, and I appreciate that. So I will allow you to take 2 items. No magic detecting, because that takes all the fun out of it for me. And I will assure you that once I can get a good inventory of my shop, I will give you good deals on anything else that you might need. But I think that for going down to a lake and doing a bit of swimming, this is a pretty good deal overall, especially because you've got me as a friend after this. And come on, like all these people, all this, celebration. Let's not ruin it with a mere numbers game, if you know what I mean. It's 2 items. I think that's fair.
Fine. I get to take a flesh trophy off of Bluetooth, though.
Oh, you get to take a what?
A flesh trophy.
Oh, you can do whatever you want with the trunk. I could care less. So he pops open the top lock. There's like some dirt that kind of falls. I can't say dust because it's raining, but it looks like it maybe hasn't been opened in a while. And the other lock comes off with a separate key, and he opens it up into this sort of dark little, sort of just like, how do I explain it? Like a piled high sort of group of just sort of knick-knack things thrown in here. There's a lot of stuff that looks very ordinary, and so it's pretty much understood right away that you wouldn't choose those things. But there's a couple things that stand out right away, and he lights a couple candles in here. It's not unorganized necessarily, but it's definitely not like it's set up like a shop. Okay, so the first thing, and we'll just say all of you notice these things in the same way. The first thing you notice is a bow in the very back, that seems to be of a good quality, be a higher quality, if you will. So you see a bow, you see a wooden chest stamped with some type of facade on the outside, of some kind of maybe ornate artwork that some craftsman did in the past, but who knows what it is now, because it's well rubbed off, but it has a real good size lock on it. And Argle's like, that's a big wooden chest. It's nice and heavy. No idea what's inside of it. Haven't cared to look. And then he looks at this other iron chest that looks to be rather basic, but it also has a good-sized lock on it. Something you guys could assume you could get into. He just hasn't for whatever reason. You see an onyx jewelry box with gold accents on it. It looks to be just itself probably worth a decent amount. But you're not sure of what's inside of it. There is probably room inside for how big is the box? It's hard to explain. Let's say it's like 2 shoeboxes size. Is that fair? There's a sort of a hat, if you will, that Argle confirms looks pretty normal, but he was told by one of his more magic attuned friends that it had some kind of properties to it. There is a wooden throne, like a half throne, if you will, almost like a decoration, ornately carved with stone and maybe some gold and some gemstones. You have no idea what it's for. It could be a replica of something. It doesn't look familiar to you. Argle just says that he found it in like a ruin, or someone said they found it in a ruin, and so he'd never seen one before, so he threw it in here. And then there's a rolled up rug with some decent looking craftsmanship to it, if you will. And then lastly, there is a small wooden box that looks very ordinary, if you will. Excuse me, not lastly, 2 more things. There's a small, ordinary looking box that Argle looks at all of you intently and goes, do not choose that box. I'm just telling you right now, there's got to be some trust in this relationship. There is nothing of value in that box. If you choose it, I will give it to you, but I will not return it for something else. And there's way more of us than there are of you. And again, this is fun for me, so just understand it's all extra anyway. But that small, ordinary looking box is just that, and it is full of nothing valuable. And the last thing, he doesn't point it out, but I'll have all of you roll me a perception check to see if anybody sees it. I hope all of you were listening.
I didn't see shit.
Okay, so Royce and Vimrak, there's a cloak that Argle does not mention that stands out to you, and for a brief moment, both of you at different time frames, you don't react to it because it's very brief, and the light and the shadow in this cart is like flickering, and it's purposefully dark, and like things are kind of piled on each other. But you see as if the cloak like moves or like flickers or has like a brief, like, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. Like a brief kind of existence to it, I guess you could say, or something. But then, like, when you double take again, you can't quite like put your like mind to exactly what you saw. But that's a potential option for something that you could choose, but Argle doesn't mention it. So he goes, you can't have 10 minutes because that's how long it is to cast Detect Magic. So you guys can take your time. I'm going to stand right here, and you can look, but you can't touch 2 items. Go ahead.
Can you list it out in text, the different boxes?
There's
The
a
different
wooden
boxes. There's a wooden chest stamped with an old visage of something. Then there's an iron chest that looks to be of lesser quality, and it's about the same size. These chests, let's say they're like, I'm trying to think of things that like, let's say they're like 4 shoe boxes in size if you laid them all flat next to each other. And then there is what looks to be a jewelry box of high quality, just in itself, that was about 2 shoe boxes in size that could be filled with anything. So there's a wooden chest, an iron chest, a jewelry box, the ornate looking handcrafted throne with some jewels potentially and some stonework. There's a rolled up rug. There's an old generic looking small box that Argyle said, do not choose that. There is a like cap that he said someone had told him was possibly magical. 2 of you saw the cloak that just kind of stood out to you, but you're not sure if your eyes are playing a trick on you. And then there is the bow in the background.
Can I do?
do?
Is it too late, or could I have done a perception check when he was talking to us about that box?
Which box?
Yeah.
Oh,
The last
you
one.
want to? Yeah,
Well,
you
not
guys
to
can
choose.
all about the one that said not to choose. You guys want to do like an insight check?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Anybody? One of you roll it. Choose who wants to roll it.
Oops.
Oh, I
I'll
was
take that
gonna.
one. Roll to
Okay.
20. You want to trust him. So he states specifically that is a generic old wooden box, which it looks to be, that is full of nothing valuable. That's what he says, and that's what you believe.
And was it Toto and I didn't see the cloak at all?
Correct.
Well, what do you guys think?
I'm gonna look over to Argyle and just ask him. Say, I get the rules, but just curious because I'm a greedy man. Would some of these items be for sale afterwards? Not today. Maybe a different time we come back.
Sure.
Maybe-
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, if we want to go through the inventory and if you guys could help me maybe figure out what they are, or we could go through this. Sure, but I assume that those things would be at a market price, if you will. Whereas you get 2 items now because of the great work you did today, and I cannot thank you enough for that. And like as you guys are looking, like Arabelle runs over and she's like, "Oh, are they choosing from the wagon?" And like she runs over and she's like, "Dad, tell me you gave them more than just one choice." And he's like, "Huh." And then she looks over and she's like, "Did he at least give you 2?"
Give us 2. Which one would you choose?
She kind of like looks at her dad and she's like, I don't know if that's in the rules. Did he say it's in the rules?
I don't think so.
You know what? We had an eventful day today, and we saved you. I would be remiss if we didn't hear your opinion.
So Argyle looks up, he goes, "Hey, it's a game. I said the rules. I'm not going to say I can't make any changes going forward, as you guys are a sneaky bunch here." And he like purposely wants to say like a curse word, but he doesn't. And he's like, daughters are close, you know, gotta teach them the right way to talk. He's like, "Sure, honey. I mean, just so you guys know, she's a smart one, like I've said, but I don't know if she knows anything more than me, but she's probably stared at them longer." So she looks inside and she's like, "Yeah, so the chests and then the old wooden box, like, don't choose that one. I hope he said not to choose that one. And then there's the rug, which I don't know. That one, the rug, I think it's just a rug, but I don't know. If I had to choose 2, it's just too hard. But I think the cap is kind of cool, but I saw like something on it that made me think that maybe it was a wizard's before. But hold on one second. Oh, where's that thing at? Is it?
Is it a flying carpet?
Hold on. Grim, what's that website you sent me? I thought I saved it. It's like prices that make sense for magicalitems.com or some shit like that.
Oh my god.
You know what I'm talking about?
Prices that make sense for magical items or some shit.com.
Yeah, that's like basically what
Sounds
it is.
accurate.
I don't know.
I don't know if I search that. Prices that make sense for magic.
Look up like sensible 5e magic items. I don't know.
Prices that make sense for magical items. Sane magical item prices. Found it.
Nice.
That was just fucking hilarious.
Well, it's because the magic item prices in 5e are bullshit.
Yeah,
Or
this
some-
guy.
Or
This guy.
someshit.com.
Yeah, I didn't need the or some shit, but let me see.
Although I might let you guys pick 2 items because I'm pretty fucking stacked.
No, we're almost
already.
done. We're almost done.
'Cause it's almost 2 for me.
Yeah, hold on.
Well, I am very clearly interested in the bow.
Yeah, we're not saying that out loud though. Oh,
I was
sorry.
thinking as soon as I heard bow, I was like, maybe we should get the ranger a bow.
Yeah.
Just seems like a good idea.
Well, let's see what the
Okay.
girl has to say.
So she looks at you. Okay, hold on. She goes, I think that the little unfinished sword thing. Well, it's probably not a sword. It's like I think the metal thing is probably the coolest on a chain. It's like a cool necklace. So she's referring to something that none of you have seen.
Oh.
And now that we know about it, can you describe it to us?
She's like, yeah, it's over there on the wall. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what it is. But, so, on the wall, they're hanging, like, on a nail, is what looks to be almost like a large, like, handmade nail, sort of like you would use, like, for woodworking. But it's sort of ornately made and has, like, a symbol on it. And it's on, not like a necklace like she thinks it is, but it's more of like it's on, like a chain, and it probably has a piece that's sort of like behind it that you can't see that it's attached to, but whatever it's attached to is something very small. So it's maybe like maybe a foot long total, or maybe like 8 to 12 inches long. But it's not a nail. What it's designed for specifically, you're not sure, but it does look unique. I'm confident that probably none of you have ever seen one of these before.
Could I do a perception check to try to understand what it is?
No. You guys must choose now.
I mean, if she says the necklace, I think we should take the necklace, and then the other one was the bow.
There's a really pretty cloak here that I think a lot of us would be interested in. And I think this is probably the way to go.
Why the cloak?
Something about it just really catches my eye and stands out to me. And I think it looked good on me. I think it might match the bear head. You could tell Vemrak's like really struggling to try to keep, like he's trying to act sneaky, like, hey, we know something he doesn't know.
You want the cloak and the necklace, or
he's like terrible.
The cloak and
the cloak is what I vote for. That's what I would like to go with. The cloak.
Oh, normal cloak seems weird to me, but I'd vote on the necklace.
I vote on the bow.
Oh, we have a contention here. Do we have a tie-breaking vote?
I'm kind of on the bow and whatever else, just because I think, Royce, you just have a normal bow, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The bow to me seems like it can't be a bad thing. The others, I'm slightly preferential towards the necklace,
Safe,
but
strong bet.
I'm not gonna stop.
I'm gonna look at never mind. Okay.
Well, so I'll trust Bemrak's intuition on this one. We go with the bow and the cloak then.
The bow and the cloak. He goes, great. Arabelle jumps back, and he's like, yes, with the cloak. Wait, what cloak? Is there's a cloak in there? And
I think the cloak is attached to the necklace. It looks like it's one set.
This is why I wanted you here for this whole conversation.
Yeah. The necklace is the clasp.
There's no
That's what it
There's
is.
not even a necklace.
The necklace looks like more of a brooch.
He's like, yes, okay. Yeah. He's like, I like you guys. You're welcome for sure. Okay, grab the bow. As far as I know, it's at least a +1 bow. I don't know how much those run. I should, but I don't sell a lot of fancy weapons. It's usually basic provisions around here. But yes, you can take that. And the cloak. What cloak do you guys mean? And Vimrak, you have to point it out. And Arabelle's like, oh, I've never noticed that. And she walks over. Or she's kind of crawling over some stuff, and she gets close to it, and she screams and jumps back. Does anybody want to do anything? Argle's reacting, but does anybody want to do anything additional?
Pull out my weapon.
Scared?
Yeah, she's she is scared. For sure. She kind of gets to it, is starting to kind of loosen the area where it's at. You can't really see because she's kind of in the way, and then she's just and she falls back and starts to kind of move away from it, and then kind of stops. But there's a second if anybody wants to do anything additional. You see Argle, he's grabbing her, but someone else can do something additional.
I'll get between Argle and the cloak, so that there's, just in case there's something in it.
Okay, so she did a pretty good job. Argle grabs his daughter and he's like, what? And he pulls her down to the ground and just kind of gets her around the wagon. Observer, now you're the closest looking at this cloak that's now been sort of exposed more now, and it's not a cloak, it's actually a robe. And as you're looking at it, you're in a trance-like state for just a moment, as you're what am I looking at? And as you're looking at this, you see an eye pop up on it, and then look at you, and then turn and then disappear. And on the top, another eye looks at you, and the eye moves down the cloak and turns, and another eye of a different creature, maybe a crocodile or something, looks at you, and another eye appears and looks at you, and then they just blink, and then they disappear. And this just kind of keeps happening, and the cloak is just kind of watching you, and then watching all of you. So
you go in to
grab it? Yeah, as
it.
observer takes this in, the rest of you can now see this phenomenon happening.
Vemrak would go to grab it.
Okay, so I will post a picture of it. I haven't necessarily confirmed all the rules that I want for this yet, because this is pretty powerful, and I wasn't sure if you guys were going to see it or not, but it is called a robe of eyes.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of what I envision it would look like the most. based on the different arts. There's a lot of different looks to it, but I kind of like the.
Where'd you post it?
Discord.
I put it in Twin Peaks. Yikes!
Oops, wrong one.
Paste. There it is. So its default stats are, it's a wondrous item that requires attunement. But it lets you see.
Was the Ranger Club? Yeah, go ahead.
It lets you see in all directions, and you have an advantage on perception checks that rely on sight. You have dark vision out to 120 feet. You can see invisible creatures and objects, and you can see into the ethereal plane out to a range of 120 feet.
Dude, what?
The eyes on the globe cannot be closed or averted. Although you can close or avert your own eyes, you are never considered to be doing so while wearing this robe. A light spell cast on the robe or daylight spell cast within 5 feet causes you to be blinded for 1 minute as well. So I'm probably going to tweak some of this. If anything, I just want to remove the see invisible creatures because I like that being unique to Vemrak. But this was probably the best or second best thing you could have picked, I would say, just based on cost from this. But cool.
No AC or anything, right?
No. It is. You could just
Okay.
wear it over whatever you want. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will make the argument that I am the only one without dark vision.
Well, you guys can make this argument later because I think Grim is asleep. But that was very fun. I'm pretty sure I'll just keep it as a +1 bow. That's what I had it written down as when I did this like 2 months ago to prep for this. But if I can find something that's a little cooler, I'll do so, Royce. But yeah, you guys may never know what's in the chests or yeah, that was a lot of fun. I liked that.
I
Cool.
plan on buying the remainder of every item that's in there.
There is one more thing in there that's pretty cool. I will say that. So, what it happens to be, maybe you'll find out.
It's the box you didn't want us to buy.
What's in the box you didn't want you to buy?
No.
What's
The
in
best
the
thing is in there.
box? Cool. I'm
Cool.
gonna go pass out, guys. Have a good
Yeah.
night. Take care.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Hey, man.